Today we're going to be taking a look at Siege War for Cybertron Springer. Now, I have some history with this toy. I've bought it twice, and each time I've had to sell it to try to pay for some car repairs. And then one of the Transformers groups I belong to on Facebook had a Secret Santa this year, and my Secret Santa, Brandon Law, got me this. I immediately opened it because I didn't want to miss out on this figure again. I love it. It's not perfect, but I love it. It is a very cool take. It is very Cybertronian looking, and it looks different than anything else I really have, with some minor reservations. It's a really fantastic figure. As you can see here, I have him in his car mode, his Cybertronian vehicle. Let's go take a look. It's got a single cockpit. The fenders come out past the hood. The spoilers are these cool little triangles. It's got the rocket pack. It's cool looking. Now, this piece doesn't like to stay in, but it's okay. I don't mind. Underneath, I have Springer's head backwards, but otherwise, you can pretty much tell the basics of his transformation, but he does look really cool. I don't have a Generation 1 Springer, and if you watch this channel, I like to show you just a comparison to a previous model, just to show the difference in engineering and to see where we've gotten since. But since I don't have Generation 1, here he is with Thrilling 30. Now this, of course, is based more off of the 2005 IDW series, where this is more the modern stuff. But as you can see, these cars, comparing them, it's comparing apples to oranges. Really, that's all it is. Thrilling 30 is bigger. He's bigger in every single way. But they both are fantastic. They both have their faults. They both have their limitations. I'm going to take him out of here, because not really a review about him, but I'll, of course, be showing him off on the different modes as well. Now, as far as accessories go, he comes with these two guns, which do plug together, or you can plug them into all these wonderful different ports, which the Siege line has. He also comes with his helicopter blade swords. Now, the instructions show that you can put these all together to form this really cool, large super weapon. Of course, I'm putting it together wrong because I'm looking through the camera and not at the toy itself. But as you can see, just like with Siege, and this is what Siege did for the War for Cybertron parts, it had you combine the weapons, make cooler, bigger, futuristic weapons. And this will port right on the top here. It's supposed to also plug into this piece, which plugs in, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all, because it won't stay still. It just moves. I mean, it does give him like a tank look, which is kind of cool, but I want it to stay still. And this is going to be the part that drives me nuts in robot mode as well. These will not stand tabbed on at all. They will not. So if you leave them just standing still, they'll just fall off, and you're going to lose them, which is too bad. As far as the guns go themselves, this is at least it gets in there really tight. The guns are really cool. They do have a lot of features and little, gribbles, and make them really cool. As far as that's no really other much to talk about for this mode. It is what it is. It's Springer. Now, to fold him out into this helicopter mode, you're going to fold things. Things are going to extend. And if you've ever had a Springer toy, you know what you're expecting at this point. But I do like how they do it. It still gives off a nice alien look, which is cool. I was worried that they were going to do more of a robotic look for him, or even a more Earth mode look for him for the helicopter, so I'm really glad they did it. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hit pause, I'm going to come back, and I'll show you the helicopter mode. Alright, so here we have him in his helicopter mode. And again, this is a really cool looking figure. You can see how it basically forms out by the shoulders dropping down and the legs just extending out. And this actually allows you to get into robot mode rather easily. Sorry, that just gets in the way, but it's fun to do. But as you can see, it is really cool. It has this really Really unique, cool shape. Again, I still have his head in backwards, but that's because I haven't put him into robot mode yet. And it looks like something like out of like a sci-fi dream. It reminds me somewhere between a cross of an Omnithopter from the Dune 2000 video games and a helicopter in one of the Command and Conquer games, which is fitting. As far as you can see here, now again, this piece here I can't get to line up correctly no matter what I do on any mode, but it's okay. It's cool. I love it. My favorite little piece of engineering on this isn't even like that big of a deal, but for this gun, because it has the edges, both sides here have a little groove, so it tabs in and just makes it so it looks like it belongs there. And I too really dig that. I think it's a nice little engineering piece. But as you can see, he still is a Springer. You still get the helicopter, which is really cool, and it does really spin, which is nice. You have these little parts here that fold up to make it so he doesn't have a hollow look to him, which actually really adds into a nice little factor there and shows that they were thinking. A lot of critiques for the whole Siege and War for Cybertron lines is that they have a lot of hollow spots. But as you can see, it is a nice little helicopter. It does come with a couple ports that you can attach weapons to, and it has tabs so you can tap some in here as well. But overall, it's pretty nice. Again, it is a Siege figure, so it is highly detailed, highly marked up, and it has really cool aesthetic. Now, I said earlier that Thrilling 30 is bigger in every mode. That's not true. This is actually bigger than the Thrilling 30 helicopter. But, I mean, we're comparing apples to oranges here, just to show off just the sizes here. It's bigger, not by much, but it's bigger. And they both have a completely different design for considering they're supposed to be the same character, granted from different timelines or even possibly universes. But you definitely get the sense that it is Springer, and it is cool. Both of them look like really cool, futuristic helicopters, and I really freaking dig them. He has way more weight than this one does. I'm really impressed by that. And both of them are just astounding with how much transformation you have to do. And you would think it would be... This one is, of course, easier. You just have to slide a couple pieces back, extend it. This one, you have to almost completely disassemble and reassemble. And it is absolutely fascinating and fun. It's like doing a masterpiece toy, but it literally just get it from car to robot. Other than that, there's not really much to talk about for these two modes. They both look good. They both look fantastic. And this helicopter mode just really nails home that this is a war vehicle and a war helicopter. Now, I wish you did have landing gear like the Thrilling 30 did, but hey, it is still really cool, and I really dig it. To get into robot mode, you should pretty much figure out what's going on by now, but I'm going to go ahead and get him in there just so I can show you, and I'll be right back. Alright, now we have the Siege Springer in his robot mode, which I'm calling either 7-Up or Sprite mode. I haven't really decided, but it reminds me of a lemon lime drink. And obviously, of course, he's always had that weird coloration. Springer, of course, was based off of Han Solo from the Star Wars movies, whereas RC had the Leia design. Springer had more of the Han Solo personality. He's sarcastic, he's rough around the edges, and more heroic than people think he is supposed to be. He was voiced by the legendary Neil Ross. Of course, Neil Ross was known for voicing Dusty and Shipwreck on G.I. Joe. And he was the only male lead for the Transformers movie that wasn't a or B list or even C list Hollywood actor. The 1986 movie, of course, had a lot of acting talent. Hot Rod was voiced by Jed Nelson. You had Leonard Nimoy, Orson Welles, Eric Idle. Like, all the main new characters that were male were all voiced by decent or well-known Hollywood talent at the time, and they still kept Neil Ross for the role of Springer, which I love, because Neil Ross, I can't picture anybody else voicing Springer other than him. As far as the figure goes, I dig it. He looks like Springer. He looks like the cartoon version of Springer. He looks like if they made a masterpiece Springer, this is what we would get. Obviously, of course, it's not, so thankfully we don't have a massive backpack that goes on for 6 hours. But let's go ahead and take a look here. He's got that lovely face. It is kind of like an off-whitish green. He has the yellow highlights. He has the big old Autobot symbol, of course. His shoulder pieces come down over, which is really cool. And they can position on their own, so you can give a little bit more of cool, like, battle armor effect or whatever. Articulation-wise, I mean, the arms can go there, they can go here, they can go out. He's got elbow bend. Can't really go backwards that much, but he does have wrist rotation, which I miss on a lot of the newer figures. Legs can go out, they go forward. He can do the full splits. He's got this massive ankle tilt, and because of the way he transforms, he has both regular knee, and he can hyperextend that knee pretty freaking far. And I really do dig it. I think he looks fantastic. He's a great update to the Generation 1 figure. As far as accessories go, he comes with those same two guns, which he can either hold in his hands as single weapons, or you can combine them for a long-ass rifle. You can also plug them up on the tops of here, and you can store them in these different holes in the back, depending on how you want to display them. But Springer is also known for having his swords. And he usually only has one, but because of the way this transforms, you end up with two. And they do look really cool. They have these ports here so you can put on some blast effects and have this cool swooshing motion. I don't bother keeping those pieces except for the Quintesson. And from what I'm reading, you shouldn't keep them either. They'll degrade the plastic of your toy. But the swords look cool. It gives them a nice, like, warrior feel. Kind of like how Drift looks. He has these nice swords, and they do have this nice, cool look to them. Storage-wise, they store in a couple different ways, and none of them work. First and foremost, he's got these tabs here. You can tab them on, but it looks lazy. You can't pose them with that end. As soon as you try to move them, they pop off. And they just don't look cool hanging off on the sides there. Your other option is this piece. And of course, this, as I've shown you before, it won't stay still. So if you plug one in here, and you only have one in, it's going to go off to the side and look awkward and weird. And if you plug it in as just a continue of his helicopter, I mean, it looks cool if there's only one, but if you want to store both, then it looks like he's just a helicopter. And I just don't like it. And there's no good way to store them. And again, they fall off with the slightest touch. One of the things that I have done is I'll take this piece and plug it into this over here. But again, I can only store one at a time if I do that. So I usually have him holding a sword in one hand and the rifle in the other. And I do think it's a nice look for him. Again, he's supposed to be a warrior and a scoundrel, and it does give him a nice look. And the sword hanging off looks cool. I do wish this had another part on it so you can give him like a broadsword, but he can't hold it with that attached. But otherwise, do want to, of course, mention his name is Springer because in the original bio he can jump really high, and again, those knees definitely give a sense of having springs in them. But they never had to really use that. He can turn into a helicopter. He doesn't need to jump. And again, this piece here, no matter what mode I put it on, won't stay in place. Doesn't matter. But I do really dig it. I think he's fantastic. And let's go ahead and get Thrilling 30 in here just so we can just do the comparison. Now, as you will see, Thrilling 30 does kind of tower over him. He's about a head taller. He's a lot thinner, of course. He's based off of, I think it's Nick Roach design, so he's much more organic looking and smooth and much more elegant looking. Whereas this, of course, is based off of Generation 1, which is much more bricky. But they both look fantastic, and they both embody different parts of Streaker in his evolution. And Streaker's, sorry, not Streaker, but Springer, his evolution. And I do kind of dig it. I dig how each one looks different, yet has the same aesthetic to it, while looking different. This one has more yellow than green, and more thin, more agile versus the warrior, and they do kind of play different parts. And given the fact that they come from different Generation 1 universes, which is an oxymoron when you think about it, it gives them a little bit different story as well. Of course, the classic 80s cartoon Transformers were built by Quintessons, they rebel, they have life, whereas the IDW 2005 series, they evolve from an ancient past. Springer isn't actually a Cybertronian, he's an artificial life form. Spoilers, but the series has been over for a couple years now. But they both embody the same character, and I think it's really cool that we have these two completely different looks for the same character, but they both scream Springer. And that's really hard to do, because I've seen a lot of toys where like they try to update the look, and you just sit there going, what are they trying to do? Big one, of course, is the 100,000 different Starscreams. The minute you don't have the shoulder parts where he has that cool silhouette, you sit there going, it's not Starscream at this point. Or even Megatron having like a sleek, like plane mode. You're just sitting there going, why? But these, on the other hand, even though they look completely different, they scream at you that this is Springer. And both of them are formidable, badass warriors. Thank you very much for watching. Hit like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. And I look forward to talking to you guys again.